Well, joining me here on Christmas Clatter, making his Christmas Clatter debut, and hopefully he'll come back after his experience here, is Rich Chambers. He is a singer songwriter who has a wonderfully delightful Christmas album out called Santa's Rockin Band. And if you're unfamiliar with it, I encourage you to go check it out right now. And we'll get more into that album and his songs. There's 4 original songs on Santa's Rockin' Band, which I appreciate, and I know all the Christmas diehards really appreciate, because original Christmas music that is quality is hard to come by, and Rich has absolutely delivered in a sound that is, it's just like a warm sweater. Rich, thanks for joining me, and to give an analogy to your music, I when I listened through your album several times, I think, man, this rock and roll style that you put is like a warm sweater. It is refreshing to hear. It's familiar to hear, but you do it with such quality, with such musicianship, that it is really, really nice to hear. And I'm sad that I didn't know about it much sooner than I did. But,
thank you, Todd. That's awfully kind of you to say. We can stop you here right now. That was just great. I feel good now. So. But that's exactly what I was after. I mean, like you said, your listeners, one of the reasons why I went the Christmas route is because there is so much of the same stuff being recycled over and over and over again. And for somebody like me who's been seeking Christmas music since I was a little kid, I get a little tired of the same old version of Rudolph every year. Different artists do it, and some do a great job, some do, but it's very similar. And so I picked a few covers that were favorites of mine. Some were a little bit more obscure. I put a little bit of a spin on some different ones, like the traditional We Three Kings. I rocked it up in Elvis Costello fashion. And Frosty the Snowman, I made a little almost Beach Boys like. But and then I really wanted to write a few new songs that were, to add to the whole palette and hopefully make a mark with some of these songs too.
Right. And before we get to your originals, I gotta say I love the fact that you covered Christmas when it spelled out, the CHRISTMAS, because that's a song that Jim Reeves, I know that version of it. And other than that, I don't know anybody else that covered it. I'm sure other people do, but that's one that's kind of that I've always loved hearing it at the holidays. And I was so happy to hear that, or saw that you covered it. And, it wasn't, a cut and dry cover version of the song. You put your own touch on it, and that was really great to hear.
And, thank you. Not many people know that. I mean, that's Eddie Arnold. Yeah. That's going way back.
Eddie Arnold. Yeah.
That's the original writer. But I think Jim Reeves did do a version of it. But that's back late 40s, early 50s, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, they're 2 of my favorite country artists. I like that real old school country.
Yeah, it's some great stuff. Yes, I kind of rocked it up a bit. And Eddie Arnold only had one verse, so I wrote a second verse to add to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wondered that, because I never really heard that second verse, and I thought, well, maybe I'm just kind of misremembering, and I didn't do my due diligence and go back to double check, and I should have, but
no, I had to add it in. And if I wanted to complete the sort of the lyric for your listeners who don't know Eddie Arnold, it spells out Christmas. It's a sort of the song is a reflection of the commercialism of Christmas, and it's sort of a shout out about that. And his songs, well, I don't know if you're going to play that one or not, but he spells out Christmas and talks about the sort of roots of Christmas and the love and the respect where Christmas comes from, as opposed to the holiday season, the commercialism. Yeah. So to make it full circle, it's him being talked to by his parents about this. And in the second verse, I have the author as the parent talking to his own children. So that's sort of how I sort of went full circle with the song.
Yeah. Like I said, everybody gets their version of the songs in there, and there's just so many wonderful songs that kind of get forgotten. And I was glad that was one I was really glad to see on the list of on the track list here. It was really great.
Yeah, I dug it out. I
You know,
found it out in an old Christmas songbook, and then I had to seek the actual right. I didn't even. I saw the music, and I was reading the
uh-huh.
music. Oh, this is kind of cool. And I had to seek out the Eddie Arnold version. So
Yeah.
it stumbled across it. So it's neat where you can find, like you say, there's lots of gems out there. You just have to look for them.
Yeah. You definitely do. Let's talk a little bit about you. We'll let's do this. Talk a little bit about you and your love for Christmas, because you don't make a Christmas album unless you love Christmas.
True.
Well, I guess you could make a Christmas album if if you think it's a money grab, but I don't really think a lot of people do, and it would absolutely come across, terribly if it was. But yeah, you don't write 4 original Christmas songs, make a complete, 11-track Christmas album. If you don't love Christmas, did you always grow up loving Christmas, or is it something you kind of grew into? I know
Absolutely, Todd. I always loved it. I think, like a lot of people, their love from comes from their parents. Both my
uh,
mother and father were huge Christmas fanatics, and we used to have the big tree every Christmas, and lots of friends and family visiting the house. My mom used to keep the door open, and everybody can come on Boxing Day or the day after Christmas and New Year's Eve, and you name it. Everybody was welcome all the time, and there seemed to be a steady stream of family and friends coming through during the holidays. And I remember my dad pulling out his guitar and singing Christmas songs, and I was maybe 4 or 5, thinking that was the coolest thing ever. And my dad pulls out, and I had a little toy guitar, and I'd strum next to him, thinking I was playing along with him. So
right.
that's where it came from. So, like,
Uh,
I'm sure you could probably say the same thing. I'm sure your parents probably loved it, and that's where you probably got it. That's where most of us sort of get it. It's
yeah.
that family generational pass along.
Yeah. People that listen to the podcast know I really get it from my mom. My dad loves Christmas too, but nothing like my mom does. And Christmas is so unique because it's like it's like the only holiday. I wouldn't say the only. There's some songs but it's one holiday that has a whole catalog
Yep.
of songs devoted to that one holiday, and then so many memories and so much I can't even talk right now. So much nostalgia gets tied,
Yeah.
to those songs, and you hear those songs, and that Christmas feelings just kind of get washed over you because
Yeah.
they're so tied to your childhood, to great times with your family. It's just they really become something more than a song,
Oh,
you
absolutely.
know. And
Absolutely.
so growing up, what were some of the songs that are kind of tied to some of your Christmas memories?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, that's partly with this. I put this album together. The cover songs on there are really connected to my growing up years.
Hmm.
Um, Frosty the Snowman. I can remember watching Frosty. So what was that? Who was it? Was it Jimmy Cagney? Who was it that narrated
Yeah,
the?
yeah, Jim.
It was Jimmy Cagney that narrated
Yeah,
the animated version of Frosty. And I remember him singing Frosty's
no,
song. And watch
Jimmy Durante.
Jimmy
Jimmy
Durante,
Durante.
not Jimmy
Yeah,
Cagney, Jimmy
yeah.
Durante, correct. And I can remember, this is, of course, this is back when there was no internet or anything else. I mean, mom had the TV guide and told me when Frosty was on. And if I missed it, that one time it was played in December, that's it. So
Yeah.
I had to make sure that I watched it. And I remember falling in love with Frosty watching the animated cartoon. And that was one song that really stuck with me. And I had a LP of Snoopy's Christmas. It wasn't the original. It was a cover version. I forget the name of the band who did the originals. Do you know, Todd, off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head. I'll look real
Snoopy's
quick.
Christmas. Oh, I should know this. This is terrible.
Yes.
Anyway, I had a cover version of it, and you're looking it up right now, aren't you?
The Royal Guardsman.
The Royal Guardsman, of course.
Yeah.
Snoopy and the Red Baron. Anyway,
Hmm.
I had a cover version of it on an LP, and I thought it was the coolest song ever. And I played it over and over and over again as a kid. So Snoopy's Christmas made it onto my Christmas album.
Yeah.
And then I can remember the first time I saw one Saturday afternoon in December, I must have been about 7 or 8 years old, and I saw The Year Without a Santa Claus. And the
Hmm.
Snow Miser and Heat Miser came across the screen, and I
Uh-huh.
laughed and laughed so hard. I thought these guys were the funniest things I'd ever
Uh-huh.
seen. And I still laugh at the Snow Miser, Heat Miser. So
Oh
that
yeah.
was an absolute must when I put my
Yeah.
Christmas album together. I
Th-
thought I love these guys.
those characters from The Year Without a Santa Claus have sustained even more than that special itself.
Oh yes,
Because that song's so catchy and those
yeah.
characters are so hilarious.
I mean, most
And
people, you're right. A lot of people don't even know it came from that
yeah,
particular special. They just know
right.
the Snow Miser, Heat Miser.
Right. That that's really cool. And your version of Snow Miser and Heat Miser is probably one of the most, if not the most popular song off this album.
Absolutely.
It gets played quite a bit. Once I heard it, I was like, yeah, I've heard that getting, thrown in my shuffle on my, I use YouTube Music. It gets thrown in there, and
Cool.
And I did recognize it. It's just one of those. But you do such a fun job with that
Thank you.
song because you give each one their own voice, and so I'm assuming you recorded those separately, or did you have to? Well, before we do,
Yep.
let's take a quick listen, real quick to a little bit of it.
I never want to know a day that's under 60 degrees. I'd rather have it 80, 90, 100 degrees. Oh, some like it hot, but I like it really, really hot.
It should be cold at Christmas time, not the sun.
Not at Christmas.
All right, so did you have to record both parts at the same time?
No,
or did you do
Todd,
it separately?
This is a great story. It's one of these one in a million moments that's absolutely wonderful. That goes back to when I just finished university and I first did a Christmas album. So this is pre-Spotify, pre-iTunes, everything. I'm making CDs and cassettes at this point. So at the time I was living with my roommate. His name was Todd. And like me, he was a big Christmas fan as well. So when I was recording this album, I needed somebody to be another miser. So I asked my roommate Todd if he would be another miser. And then we got in a big debate on who we both wanted to be the heat miser. But in the end, he had a very sort of low bellowing voice. So we thought, okay, you got to go heat miser and I'll go snow miser. So we're recording this track and we're each singing our regular part. And then at the end, we thought I had this long fade out. It's about 40, 45 seconds. And we came up with the idea, why don't we banter back and forth?
Yes.
And our engineer at the time, he's saying, yeah, give it a try, guys. You'll set up the microphones and you guys stand on each side of the microphone and banter. So we go into the vocal booth and we're looking at each other and the music starts playing. We're not quite sure what to say. And then it hit, and I forget which one of us starts off. I think I started it off. And then we just went back and forth for 45, 50 seconds. And at one point I look over and the engineer is keeling over because he's laughing so hard. We had no script whatsoever. There was one point where Todd calls me a Slurpee-Head and I almost lose it. And you could hear an audible 2 or 3 second pause where I had to try and pull myself together and come up with a response. And I was on the verge of losing it right there and then. So, and he's smiling, knowing he's got me. So we went into this banter, and within about 5 seconds, we were both trying to crack the other up. And he almost got me. And then when we finish, we walk out of the vocal booth, and the engineer's, he's laughing. So all he can do is laugh and give us thumbs up because he knows we nailed it. And we just listened to it. We thought, okay, one take, no script, you're perfect. We're leaving that. And that over and over again. And imitation is the greatest form of flattery. This is interesting, Todd, because about 2 Christmases ago, I mean, we did this, we initially recorded this 25 years ago. And it's been on CD form for many years, and we put it up digitally about 15 years ago to start. And it's been slowly picking up more and more streams. I'm now well over 1 million streams on this track. So, and about almost 20,000 downloads prior to when streaming took over. But anyway, about 2 years ago, Todd texts me and he says, Rich, and he gives me a link. You got to listen to this song. And I listened to this version of Snow Miser, Heat Miser, and I forget the name of the band that did it, but they literally had a 45-second banter at the end. That was almost exactly what Todd and I did 20 years ago. So he puts into the text, he says, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And I said, all right.
Yeah.
So I guess our version over the years is sort of, I've heard from some people say this is the quintessential Snow Miser, Heat Miser version.
Yeah.
Because when we recorded it, nobody had ever done it. I couldn't find it anywhere. And it simply did not exist as a version out there for anybody to download or stream or anything.
Right. Right. I would say that too, because I think I caught the tail end of that banter. I didn't want to play all the banter because I wanted to have the art of promotion and teasing. I wanted people to go listen to it for themselves, the whole thing. But, I was thinking, I thought it was you the whole time.
Nope.
You know, because your voices are, I mean, it's different, but it's similar enough that it could be. And that's cool, you know, because the Snow Miser, Heat Miser are supposed to be brothers. So, you know, that worked out. But yeah, I would say so. And there's maybe there've been other people cover it, but I think Big Voodoo Daddy has a version.
Yep. Yep.
And then there's a band from Canada, 1,000 Foot Crutch. They're actually two different bands. They go by 1,000 Foot Crutch, which is more rock. They do like the Heat Miser, and then their other band, FM Static, would do like the Snow Miser, which is more pop. But that's the three versions I know, and yours is by far the most fun.
Thank you.
Because of that banter at the end. I was rolling the first. Well, I still laugh every time I hear it because it's just great. It's just like, you know, bickering brothers, and you know, it's like you can say all this stuff to your brother, but you know, if anybody else does, you kind of get that vibe from it. You know,
Well, it's funny, Todd, because my roommate Todd, him and I we still are great friends. We've been friends since kindergarten. So it's almost like a brotherly type friendship. So we could easily, like you say, it comes across in the bickering, which it was a pleasant surprise when we recorded it and then had it come out. So it was a neat moment.
It definitely was. You know, it's that bickering is the great word because it's like, it's not fighting. Fighting's too strong of a word, but bickering, you know, and
of course in the Year Without a Santa Claus, the special, the brothers are bickering through the whole 1 hour. Not just those songs, but when they confront each other, they're bickering. That's the best term.
Yeah. I liked it when you're like, you want me to give you a heat blister? You know, so.
One icicle in the head, son, man. Yeah. But he got me with Slurpee-Head. I just almost lost it and ruined the take. Man, you might not have ruined the take if I started laughing outright. I might have actually made him more funny, but
yeah. Yeah.
But now listen again, Todd. Now that I've told that to you, and when Todd says something Slurpee-Head, there's an audible. You'll notice an audible 2 or 3 second pause, and you can picture me trying to quickly regain composure.
I'll definitely be listening for that, for sure. Definitely for sure, because I just love nuggets like that and put into music. But I really, you know, I kind of go back to Frosty the Snowman, and you know, we skipped over the opening track and the name of the album, Santa's Rockin Band, and it made my heart good to hear that you know, Frosty the Snowman is you know, was one of your favorite characters, and you made him the bass player in the band.
Absolutely.
Because, I've played bass for a number of years in various different bands and stuff. So knowing that you made your favorite player bass player makes us fellow forgotten bass players very happy.
Well, the bass is an overlooked instrument. As a recording artist myself, if you don't have the bass and the drums working well, the rest of the song is going to fall apart. And any musician will say that.
Yeah. Well, this is off topic, but where I live, you know, if I was willing to do all the playing and touring, you know, around and stuff, I would have 1,000 bands to play for. It feels like, because it's just hard to find a bass player anymore. Yeah. You know, and I don't know exactly why, but
or hard to find a good one. Lots of bands put their weakest player on bass, which is a shame. They put the weakest guitar player on bass, and it's a shame that happens because it's such a crucial instrument. Oh my goodness.
Right. That, or the bass player wants to be too much. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. You just got to hold the rhythm.
Yes.
And it's not as easy as people think it is either.
No, it's not. You know, it's you gotta have that boring, what they call the boring stuff down. Yeah. But man, it makes a world of difference. I grew up a music fan. I'm not from a musical family. My mom and dad, they like music, you know, but I kind of took to it. And I remember everybody has those like moments that you hear something and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like one of those aha moments. And I remember I was probably 8 years old or so, and it was the first time I ever heard a song from Motown.
Yes. Talking bass, of course.
Yes. And I heard that bass guitar, and I didn't know what it was at the time, but it's like, that is what I want to do. And it was James Jamerson on bass, you know, for the Temptations. Yeah. And it was like, you know, whatever that sound was what I was wanting wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, I still remember it was on a cassette tape, and it was like, that's, it's kind of one of those,
Yes.
moments.
Not
and,
surprised it was Motown. Those Motown
Yeah.
60s recordings, the bass tracks
Yeah.
are incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, yeah, they are. And they're not crazy flashy.
Nope.
Like we were talking about. They're,
Nope.
they are, they're rhythmic. You can
Yep.
dance to them. They're distinguishable. They're not too much.
No, they fit in the pocket perfectly.
Yeah.
They're tasty.
Yeah.
They're solid, and sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's more than what you need. That's perfect.
Yeah. Did you play bass on this album?
Yes. I actually started bass. I actually started guitar, but the first time I got as serious with any bands was playing bass. So I've always treated the bass with a lot of respect. And whenever I'm recording, the bass and the drums, it has to start there. And once I get that solid, then I start layering on all my guitars afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Because as I say, they're listening through this. Of course, I always key to the bass. I love the bass playing in this whole album.
Thank you.
I really do. It's just really what I love about the bass. You had your times to shine and to really walk the bass, but it was just right there and such a compliment to everything. And it really held down everything. And one of my favorite songs is the last song, Hold On Santa, because it kind of reminded me of that, 50s, 60s music. In fact, did you play your guitar out of tune for this one? Because it sounds like a Chuck Berry out of tune.
That's exactly what I went
sound.
for.
And
slightly a little, not necessarily perfect tuning, but perfect for the song.
right. Let's listen. I just got the first little bit intro of this song because I want people to hear it. Because when I said it's like a warm sweater at the beginning, this is what I'm talking about. It's a sound that's familiar, but it's done in such a great way. And
Thank
then
you.
married with Christmas, it's like that friend you always had, So, but let's listen. It's just the first 15 seconds or so of the song here.
Here we go again, December 24th. Love this time of year. North Pole's a buzzing, I just know it. Come on, Santa, show us what you got.
All right. But I thought that clip was a little longer than that. I apologize. But that you can hear that bass line in there really running. That's one of the bass lines I really, really liked. And then that guitar tone, just as soon as I heard it, I was like, he must be a Chuck Berry fan. So,
Yeah, well, I think every guitar player has a little bit of Chuck Berry in them somewhere.
yeah.
But I'm a huge fan of Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly, that 50s sound, which is very chordal. Particularly Buddy Holly. I mean, he almost always soloed in chord structures.
Right.
Where Chuck Berry most of his solos are double note solos, which really suits that 50s sound. And so, the beauty of today's technology is some of those bass parts were amazing, done on double bass back in the 50s, but they couldn't record them very well. So they're kind of buried and you don't hear them as well. So it's one thing with today's technology, I'm able to crank that bass up and let her walk.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard that. I was like, oh.
I'm glad you like it. Thank you. That's been a personal favorite of mine too. I've always loved that song.
Yeah, I always have a hard time picking favorites, but that's one I was gravitating to a little bit more than the rest of them. I love the whole album. I'm a big album guy. I love listening start to finish on an album. And just kind of, I collect vinyl too.
Good for you. Yeah.
I'm just kind of I wouldn't say I'm like a cinephile. That's movies. I'm not saying I'm an audiophile or anything, but I just like, people it's kind of a lost art. People put an album, don't put an album together anymore where there's, there's the hit songs and then there's all, the other songs. It's like, I like that journey that an album can take you on. And
that's, and Todd, I'm glad you said that because that was one of the huge things with this album. I wanted to put an album together because I agree with you. I think that in some ways it's a bit of a lost art. I mean, you think some of the classic albums in rock history and they're all like pre-2000. Because somewhere after 2000 when streaming hit, it's all, and even I'm guilty of it myself with some of my non-Christmas stuff. I'm releasing singles because that's part of what the industry is all about right now.
Right.
But
It's
I
getting
still
that one track. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still think the album. I mean, how many times Beach Boys' Pet Sounds? You have to listen to that start to finish.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. Other people say Pink Floyd, The Wall. You got to go start to finish. I mean, it goes on and on. There's classic albums like that.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people, I say, you'll take a song that you know because it's played on the radio every hour and a half, and you'll know it. But once you sandwich it in the album, and you have that 30 minutes before you get to it, and then that 15 minutes after it, it sounds different.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You hear it in a different light. And the one thing that always amazed me, and it's kind of one of those nuanced things that's probably, I don't know how much thought's given, is like track placement on an album. Which one's going to be first? Which one's going to be last? Who's going to follow which one? And I just see, artists, like at a whiteboard, with all the different ways. And I don't know if it's like that or not, tell you the truth. I've never made an album, but that's, track placement is something I'm always super curious about, and
It's you're absolutely right, Todd. I mean, I think of the Beatles' Abbey Road. Would it be as impactful as it is if the tracks weren't placed in the order they are? I mean, for those familiar with the album, I mean, there's songs that blend into one another, there's songs that stand alone, and that's just one album. The list goes on and on about really good artists who have certain tracks placed at certain times in albums, and it's there you talk about the whiteboard. I mean, even as something as simple as my Christmas album, I have about 7 or 8 sketch pads of different list orders, and I'd be scribbling out titles and putting them in different places and thinking to myself, no, that doesn't work. And I sketched out about 8, 9, 10 different track orders before I finally figured out this is what's going to work the best.
Yeah. It's well thought out, and I love how you went through. You opened up with an original, then you gave us some covers right there, and then you hit another original song with "It's Christmas Time," and then went from there, and then you ended up with an original there on "Hold On Santa."
Yeah.
And to round it out, it's like you begin and end with your music, and you put it anchor in the middle, and it's just well done. And
Thank you.
It's Christmas time all over the world. I think I might make this a personal mission to get this out in more people's Christmas playlist, because
Thank you.
I really dig this song.
Thank you.
It's really cool, and I don't like to compare artists. Like they sound like so and so.
Yeah.
But I really get Tom Petty vibes from this song.
That's okay. I'm okay with that because
and
Tom Petty is one of my favorites, no question. Huge Tom Petty fan, always have been, and I love the production that Mike Campbell, his guitar player, always puts in. I mean, it's a very fresh sounding guitar sound to all the Tom Petty and Heartbreaker stuff, and that's what I'm after. Many bands lose the guitar. For me, rock music's all about the guitar. The guitar is the focus. And Petty and the Heartbreakers have always produced, in my opinion, very, very fresh sounding upfront guitars. And that's a sound I've always looked for. So I take that as a compliment. So thank you.
Well, good. Cause I think this is a song that really could have a lot of appeal. And like I said, I'm going to push it, to get it on more people's playlists. And for those that need a little taste of this song, let's go ahead and take a quick.
I'll show you this. I'll show you this, Todd. There's the album cover for it. Can you see that?
Uh-huh.
So this is based on Springsteen's Born to Run album cover. That's It's Christmas Time all over the world. And I did this for all my originals, actually. That's why I was reaching down. Here is Peace and Harmony. This is based on U2's Joshua Tree.
Okay, that's
And then
cool.
what else do we have here? Santa's Rockin' Band. This one's obvious. I talked about this a second ago. That's based on Abbey Road.
Yes, I love that.
And my last original is the one you talked about, is Hold On Santa, which is based on the 50 Million Elvis Fans Can't Be Wrong album, where he's wearing the gold lame suit.
Right.
So that's some of the graphics that I've used, because to me, Christmas is about fun. So I wanted to make these songs really fun, and I wanted to do tongue-in-cheek and spoof some classic artists for a couple reasons. One, because that just makes a cool graphic, for one thing.
Oh, yeah.
And two, it also shows my respect for a lot of my influences. You know, the Beatles, U2, Springsteen, Elvis. These are artists that have influenced me. So it's kind of
Right.
paying a certain respect to them as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off. You're about to play a
That's
bit of the
okay.
song.
That's okay. I love those covers. Or do you do art as well?
No, this was a Fiverr. Fiverr is a
Okay.
great place to find freelance. I found a
Fiverr is-
freelance
yeah.
artist in where's she from? The Philippines. Just a young girl who was just starting out, and her and I connected really well. And I said, you know, this is what I'm looking for, and she said I can do that. And sure enough, she did it.
Yeah. I've used Fiverr for a few things, and you know, if people need some artwork done or even some music done, it's a good place to start to look.
You can make some great connections on Fiverr. There's so much talent out there that people don't realize. You know, there's so much talent.
Yeah. In fact, here at Christmas Clatter, we always kind of dive off into rabbit holes, you know, because I say these conversations are like talking with your favorite cousin at Christmas time or Thanksgiving.
I like
you know,
that.
where you just kind of,
Yeah.
And but my oldest girl, she's a fantastic artist. She gets it from her mom,
Good for her.
and she was talking about, you know, graphic art and things like that, and I said, she's, you know, talking about going to school and, you know, to university and stuff, and I'm like, you can, but that's a lot of money, and I don't know if the return will be worth it, you know, by the time you graduate. I said, a lot of people just want to hire an artist that does good work and gets it done on time, you know, and I said, you should try Fiverr and just see what happens, you know, get some experience making stuff for some people and go from there, you know. And
Has she set up a profile on Fiverr yet?
no, not yet. So she's enjoying her last. She just graduated high school, so she's enjoying her summer as, I guess, last
for
summer
her.
as a kid, I guess. You know? So
Well, you know, Todd, it's
But-
interesting because my day job has been at a local university here in Vancouver, and I've spent 8-9 years of that job as a student advisor. And I'd often talk to people like your daughter about career paths and career goals. And I've always been adamant, always, and I still am, that no matter where the sort of leniency of a person lies or their passion lies, to pursue it. And I've had people that come to me that are into drama, or they're into music, or they're into art. And I always say, pursue it. You understand that there's less career opportunities, and if you want to go into law or medicine, but pursue it because it's your passion. And you're going to be working for the next 45 years. And here's a question I used to ask kids all the time. Would you rather be making a lot of money doing something you hate or getting by doing something you love? And every single one of them said getting by with something you love.
right.
So I'm a huge believer of follow your passions and go with it. But of course, you got to be realistic.
Right. Yeah, you do. You have to, you know, quote. I keep saying quote unquote this episode. I want to have to quit that. But yeah, you have to, you know, be responsible and
Yeah.
you know, get the bill, keep the lights on, and
Of course.
you know, gas in the car, and you know, food in the cabinets. And
Of course.
stuff. But you know, but that's the wonderful thing about the time we're living is with technology, you can have, you know, 3, 4, 5 different, you know, gigs going on at the same
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely.
You know, and never leave your house if you don't want to. you know, and so
I mean,
that's,
yeah, I'm a perfect example. I'm sure you are too. You probably do something other than just podcasting.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
Well,
doing something other than just a musician. I work at a university, so
Yeah.
you know, you and I are perfect examples of a new generation of you have, you know, different things going on at the same time.
Yeah. I carry. I'm a letter carrier for the postal service.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, so I do that, but that affords me to spend my evenings and time, you know, my
Yep.
days off doing this, which, you know, is kind of, you know, it's a hobby, but it's, you know, it's no different than people that, you know, make model airplanes or whatever. But
Yeah. Well, I'd say it's probably even a bit more than a hobby for you, Todd. Is it safe to say it's almost into a passion? Is it safe to say
yeah,
that?
it is. I really, you know, I really want, you know, I know with Christmas it's kind of going to be limited, you know, especially being, you know, year round. But I just, you know, love talking about it so much and bringing, you know, our motto here is, you know, keep Christmas hope alive every day. There's a certain hope and peace that people get from the holidays.
Yeah, absolutely.
We saw that, you know, last year at the beginning of the pandemic, you know, a lot of people turned towards Christmas, for comfort. So, you know,
Yeah.
there's people that are always needing that, the comfort that the holidays can bring. And I just kind of, you know, want to be here for them to give it just a little taste of Christmas when people need it, want it. So,
No, absolutely agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't agree anymore. I mean, in Christmas time, all over the world, you're about to play. There's one line where I
Yeah.
talk about the hope and innocence of kids, and I wish we could, you know, capitalize and be that way every day. So I agree with that completely, and I think there's a lot of pluses. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing Frosty the Snowman in July. Put it that way.
No,
If it puts a
absolutely
smile on your
not.
face, play Frosty the Snowman in July.
Yeah. Let's take a listen to the It's Christmas Time real quick.
I hear the bells sweet sound. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. All over the world. All over the world.
Yeah, but that just gives me that Tom Petty kind of vibe, and I just love it. It's
Thank you.
like I said, it's one I'm really, that and Hold On Santa's too. I'm really gonna be pushing the closer we get to the holidays.
Thank you.
I have a little teaser for all the Christmas Clatter listeners out there. I have some plans on making fresh playlist every year. You know, of stuff that. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that's on everybody's playlist, you know,
Yeah.
all the Michael Bublé stuff, all the Frank Sinatra stuff. That's
Yeah.
on everybody's playlist. But my goal is to make a playlist of things that, I don't want to say off the beaten path, but maybe things that kind of get buried.
Or
Because
people just aren't aware of. Yeah.
aren't aware of. Because one side effect of starting this podcast, Rich, is, you know, as a music lover, as a Christmas lover, one thing that I've really gotten real passionate about is independent artists like yourself.
Oh, cool.
You know, giving you guys a platform to
Thank you. By the way, thank
to
you
be
for
out
that.
there, you know, to advertise your music in a way to get out to people that will embrace it and enjoy it and listen to it. Because I know without, you know, a big PR push behind you, sometimes it's hard to get your name out there, especially, you know, like, you know, you're in the same boat as me where you're working, you know, another job and things. But, you know, I'll do what I can. I started last year a thing called the Silver Bell Awards, where I give awards out to artists for their Christmas music and, you know, things like original Christmas song, best Christmas song cover. I think I had a newcomer artist last year who you know, made Christmas music for the first time, you know, best album, just it was 4 or 5 different things, but
That's
you know,
cool.
it's something that I'm going to start doing annually, you know, as a way to promote, you know, independent artists and
Thank you.
and
It,
things.
it, it helps. It helps. It's an interesting era right now, Todd, for so many reasons. I mean, the average person like me can now launch a music career, which is
Yeah.
great on one hand, but now everybody can do it. So there's
Yeah.
so many of us out there that it's hard to sort of rise above. Everybody wants to get above everybody else. Understandably, everybody wants to, you know, crack the big time, so to speak. But
Right.
there's also, for music fans, there's so much out there that I think they actually like it when people kind of give them playlists. You know, you're looking for something new. Here's a check out these things, as opposed to
Yeah.
trying to sift through it themselves.
Right.
Because most people like, I've music lovers I've talked to over the years, they love finding something new. Everybody seems, I found a new band or I found a new artist. This is great. And they're so happy they found something new, and they tell their friends and so on and so on. And that's part of what, you know, the passion of music. And it's great. So thank you for what you're doing. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, see, you know, talking about that playlist idea, I have a playlist out there for people that search it up for Christmas Clatter, but it's almost 1,000 songs, and it's like, that's way too many.
Yeah, that's
You know,
quite a few.
so
yeah.
my plan is to do about 20 to 25 songs, you know,
Yeah.
for this year, and, you know, I'll label it, you know, for 2021, and then, you know, the next year have 20 or 25. I'm not going to have a set number. I'm just going to fill it up till it feels like it's it's
No, that's
you know,
perfect. Good for
done
you.
and stuff, and in that way maybe it can get a little bit more exposure because these are great songs. This Santa's Rockin' Band is like I said, it's wonderfully delightful. Are
Thank you.
two words that it's a album that once it was over, it's like I started it right over again because
That's awesome.
It's just kind of like, all right, because sometimes you listen to an album like I need a break from that, but it's like, I need another turn on that Ferris wheel
Thank you, Todd. I'll take that. That's a great
but,
compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's really really great. You have any plans of making any more Christmas music in the near future?
There will be at some point. Like I've already got 3 or 4 other songs in the working stages. But at this point, I'm really sort of launching all my non-Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
The Christmas came first because partly the passion and partly because the Snow Miser, Heat Miser, which I'd done 20 years ago, was making
Right.
such a mark for me that I suddenly decided, why am I not redoing, use the Snow Miser, Heat Miser as a foundation to launch the next stage of my music career. I love Christmas anyway. It's not that hard to stretch for me to put a full album together.
Right.
So the Snow Miser, Heat Miser came from an initial album that I did like for CD and cassette. And along with that came Santa's Rockin' Band, that particular original, Peace and Harmony, that original, and a couple of the covers.
Right.
But everything got redone except for Snow Miser, Heat Miser because it was so good the first time. I had to leave it alone.
Yeah, I understand that. And for those looking for a summer song, Rich has a song out called "Summer Looks So Good on You." It's available now, and it is a great summer song. I really enjoyed that. A lot of people don't know, but when someone agrees to come on the podcast, I become like an internet stalker and try to find all their stuff. But try to do my homework. But
you've probably noticed then that my handles on Facebook and Instagram are Santa's Rockin' Band. That's my handle. So I've stuck with the core. Christmas is my core.
Yep. I love that. I noticed that. I was like, that's cool. He stick with Santa's Rockin' Band there.
I've had a few people say, well, that's kind of a strange handle. I say, no, it's not. That's my first album. And that Santa's Rockin' Band is my first original that made it to market. It's the song Santa's Rockin' Band. Yeah. So hence, naturally, it's my Facebook and Instagram handle.
Yeah. I rarely log on to any of my social medias as Todd Killian anymore. It's like,
does anybody log on anymore as their name?
Yeah. So it's like I just log on as Christmas Clatter all the time.
Yep.
But that is great. So,
but Santa's Rockin' Band, it's a great story that I wanted to share with you, Todd, and your listeners, is because this weather outside right now, we're a bit of a heat wave in the Pacific Northwest at the moment, and Santa's Rockin' Band, I wrote it in the middle of a July heat wave on a 40-minute jog around my neighborhood because I'm a big runner. I run every morning. And I put on the shoes and the shorts and the t-shirt and I hit the road, and it was July morning. It was nice and hot. And about 2 minutes into my run, Rudolph was the drummer, Frosty was the bass man, came to my head. Those 2 lines came to my head. And then I started singing. I literally wrote the entire song in 40 minutes of jogging. I came up with the whole concept of Santa clapped his hand, the elves played guitar, and all this sort of thing. And as soon as I got home, I'm sweating like a pig, and I pulled my guitar out, and I got a pen and paper. I'm quickly jotting it all down before I forget it. And it was a beautiful moment because as a songwriter, I call those the wow, I can't believe that happened moments. Every now and then, a few of my songs come to me fast, quick, and really easy. And for whatever reason, in a mid-July heat wave, when I was jogging, Rudolph was a drummer and Frosty was a bass man, and it became the whole song. So it's a fabulous moment. It's a very cool moment. And that was my first commercial song of mine that I released to the public. So hence, I have a very soft spot for Santa's Rockin' Band, and that's why that's my Instagram and Facebook handle.
Well, that's just a great name, Santa's Rockin' Band. And I like how you took the origins of rock and roll and gave it to the North Pole, and then
of course
Chuck and Buddy and Elvis, got gifts, to spread the love of rock and roll.
Well, it reminded me of, I wanted to catch a rock and roll version of this. Lots of Christmas songs have stories to them. Frosty has a story to it. Snoopy has a story to it, and goes on and on. How many? The Rudolph has a story to it. So I wanted to put a rock and roll story to Santa's Rockin' Band. Right. So that was my idea, that Santa, invented rock and roll and he gave it to Elvis and Buddy and Chuck and they went on with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that when I first heard it. I was like,
Cool. Thank you.
That's cool. It was really cool. Well, you told everybody they can reach you at Santa's Rockin Band on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I want to encourage everybody to go to richchambers.com as well.
Thank you.
To check out his music and follow him on Spotify too, because that's a big deal for artists is if they get a follow on Spotify.
Absolutely.
And that costs you nothing, but it helps the algorithm to help them be suggested to other people as well. And go check out Santa's Rockin Band. I'll have links in the show notes in the description here below on YouTube. And Rich, I appreciate your time so much. Thanks for being here on Christmas Clatter.
Todd, thanks for having me. It's been an absolute blast talking with you. And I love the Christmas tree in the background. Makes me want to go pull out my Christmas tree. Well, I showed you, but I want to show your listeners. There's my Snow Miser t-shirt.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So all year long,
great.
my friend, all year long. Never out of season for Christmas.
No, it never is, because it's just life's too short to bottle the stuff you love for just a couple months of the year. So,
and what a positive thing, this whole Christmas vibe. We need more of that,
Yeah, we do. We knew, there's songs like "Why Can't Every Day Be Christmas," and it's basically because it's lamenting the fact that everybody's a better version of themselves at Christmas. And it's like, well, let's be that version. Let's be our Christmas selves year round.
Agreed.
And,
Totally agree.
And that's one of the things that really, that I love about the holiday, and one of the sentiments that I really, really enjoy. So,
no, I can't agree more.
But hopefully, Rich, I can have you back sometime real soon.
I'd love to come back.
I have some ideas I want to talk to you once I hit the stop recording button.
Because I got a huge push of music coming out, and in early September I got a big video coming out, and I got songs I got 2 albums planned for next year and into 2022, and I got all kinds of music planned. And eventually I'll get back to Christmas though, for sure.
Yes.
I can't leave it.
Yeah, well, it's a requirement if you're
Absolutely.
Christmas Clatter. At least have to have it in the plans.
There will be another Christmas album at some point, Todd. I can guarantee you that.
Well, thanks again, Rich.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Todd.
And for those here on YouTube, remember, here at Christmas Clatter, we keep Christmas hope alive every day.